A couple months ago, we talked to working mom and volunteer product tester extraordinaire, Susie. You can see that conversation in our part 1 video. She had a mom guilt moment when she dropped off her kiddo at what she thought was soccer practice, but it had been canceled. When she got back to pick him up just about 20 minutes later, she knew that it was time for them to add some tech to their lives. They needed a way to stay in touch, but she just wasn't ready to give her youngster a phone. Enter kids' GPS trackers and smartwatches. These are the perfect first step toward independence with an added dose of peace of mind for both parents and kids alike. Susie was game to test the iMOO watch phone, and today she's going to let us know how that went, what they liked about it, and what she and her boy recommend for you and your family. First of all, do you think a kid's GPS tracker or smartwatch is a good solution for parents and younger kids?
Absolutely. I did not want to give my son a cell phone because I definitely think he's not old enough for one, and I didn't want him to have access to the internet and different apps. So I think this is a great solution. It gives you peace of mind knowing that your kid is just a message or a call away or looking at GPS location, but also gives them the freedom to go on their own a little bit too.
What did you like most about having the watch?
I liked having the geolocation. So if he was going to play with kids in the neighborhood, I could just check in and see like, yep, he's at the neighbor's house. Or if he said he was going down the road to play at a park, just knowing that he's there was really comforting.
For sure. Yeah. You don't have to go drive around the neighborhood or get on your own bike or add up your own steps to make sure they're where they said they wanted to be. I want to ask you, did you find the geo tracking to be accurate? I tested this watch out, and it was not as great as I'd hoped that it would be. It wasn't terrible, but I felt like if we were in too close proximity, it was rough. So maybe it just works better when you're farther apart.
Yeah, I experienced a little bit of that. So around the home, closer to the home, it was a little bit tricky. But if he was across the street or down the road, it seemed to be pretty accurate.
Susie, are there any features that these smartwatches have in general that you think are overhyped? There's a lot of things the companies throw out there as, we're awesome because of this. Is there anything that you think, it's not as necessary?
Definitely the added features for fitness tracking and the games. If your child's wearing it to and from school, they're going to have it in school and it might be a distraction there. It's just not necessary when the point of it is to keep in contact with your child, know where he's at all times. You get distracted by the games and the fun things like that.
You had a watch that you got to try out. So how was your experience with the iMOO watch?
This is the watch that I tried out, and initially it was very clunky to set up. I struggled a little bit understanding what networks that it would work with. I tried going with one network, and I set up an account and it didn't work that way. So I actually had to switch to another. Once I got it set up and connected to the app, from that point forward, it was pretty easy to set up.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to check out the network and do that in advance, save you a lot of headache because you had to mail SIM cards back and forth. And I know that was a little frustrating. Just be extra careful. And right now we're having a watch word for AT&T. If that's your network, check before you buy. So after testing the watch and having your kiddo wear it around, would you recommend the iMOO or just a smartwatch in general to other families?
I would definitely recommend a smartwatch in general to families. There are features with the iMOO that we have discovered that other watches don't have. So if you're looking for certain features, like if the phone is flipped up with the camera, you can actually control and flip the camera around with your phone. So if you sense that there is a situation going on, you can have control of that and flipping it just to check out the scenario. So based on features, I would recommend different watches, but overall, I think it's a smart buy for kids, especially if they're walking to school or riding their bike to school, or if they're going to practice or being dropped off anywhere.
What you were saying, the watch flips up and that's how they can do a video chat. It's like they're a spy, like in Spy Kids back in the day or whatever. But you can actually like hit the way we turn the camera around like on our cell phone, and then it'll show you what's happening around them. That's such a cool feature, and I don't know any other watch that has that. And I just want to know a couple good scenarios to use that feature. I think it's not just if you're worried that someone's trying to take your kid, which is the number one reason that we're all worried about our kids being off alone. It's probably the least likely thing that's going to happen. If it does happen, and it would be terrifying. But if you're worried about bullying going on and other things like that, I think this is a great use case to make sure that everyone's treating everybody the nice, proper, and correct way. And I think it help you know that your kid is okay, not just from a potential abduction scenario, but also just socially and bullying and things like that. I love that. I think that's a great idea. Is there anything that you wish smartwatches did that they don't do?
So for this watch specifically, there was a little confusion around what a message was versus what chat was. So you can chat through the app, but you can text message as well. And so my son got a little confused on that. You can text message out to all the contacts, but then you can chat with anybody who has the app. So that did cause some confusion, especially when it's essentially the same type of feature. So.
For sure. Now that makes a lot of sense. This watch that we tried everything only happens inside the app. I mean, you can call, but texting is only the chat type of feature. So I think it's cool that it has both, but I do see where that would get really confusing. Is there anything that you think parents and caregivers need to look out for when they're shopping or using a smartwatch?
One of the things to look out for is how much control you have over the watch through your app. So if you want to set restrictions during the time that they're in school, so it's not disruptive in the classroom, or if you want to restrict the number of contacts or who's contacting, that is very important. If there's a watch that you don't have that control over, it might be a little bit harder to manage it from far away.
Did your kiddo like the watch? Was he down to wear it? Did he feel like he was being tracked, or did he feel like it was cool?
Initially, I had to remind him several times to put on the watch, especially when we were leaving the home. The iMove watch in particular has a larger face to it, so he wasn't used to something so large on his wrist. But once he figured out all the cool features and that he could message us whenever he wanted and video call, and I even added his grandparents to video call in there, he had a lot of fun with it and really did like it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this safety chat, Susie, and for trying out the iMove smartwatch and sharing your experience with us. If you're thinking about getting a smartwatch or a GPS tracker for your family and you want more specifics about your options, you can get specs, prices, features, and our top recommendations in our full reviews on safewise.com. The articles are linked below. And we've got an upcoming review of the TikTok 4. So subscribe to this channel to make sure you don't miss it, plus the other new reviews, tips, and safety advice that we post every single week. Until next time, keep an eye on those kiddos and stay safe.